Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we have some amazing news for fans of the Book of Boba Fett. Over the last few days I've been covering the build up to Disney Plus Day and of course D23 Expo this weekend. Star Wars announcements have been promised, but it's still important to keep our expectations tame and hopes in check. Now while nothing noteworthy was originally expected for Disney Plus Day, which is just 2 days away, the official Star Wars social media accounts seem to be teasing us quite heavily. In their 3 days to go until Disney Plus Day Twitter post yesterday, they posted a gif of Grogu with the hashtag The Mandalorian. An hour later it was deleted and they reposted it with a correction. This time it said hashtag The Book of Boba Fett. Now just like the thousands of others who noticed this, I was torn between two emotions. On the one hand, I'm super hyped if they're announcing something Boba related, maybe even season 2, but on the other, could this result in a nothing burger once again? I would love to say this post was a deliberate hint at what we can expect, but knowing the way that Disney have teased us and overpromised things in the past only for nothing to happen, you just never know, so I'm gonna say it's 50-50. But if something Mandalorian or Boba related is announced, then this gives legitimacy to the rumour that circulated, claiming that this weekend between Disney Plus Day and D23 is going to be pretty big for Star Wars. We can only keep our fingers crossed. Please Lucasfilm, give us something good. This tweet was definitely a good sign though, but something I do find interesting is that of all the Book of Boba Fett characters and scenes they could have used, they chose Grogu from Chapter 7 in the scene where he uses the Force on the Rancor. Let's look out for more teases over the next couple of days. And so now, my dear Mandalorians, we have a very exciting tidbit for the Ahsoka show. The source who a couple of months ago revealed that Ahsoka will feature Vader's castle and the Alas mech who we saw in episode 9 has now come out with a new scoop for the show. They reveal that one of the earliest scenes from episode 1 of Ahsoka was shot 2 weeks ago, and they do have some details. Now, although it's apparently not too exciting, it concerns new characters whose names are unknown, and they're walking across a desert plain. Now, the desert is probably not Tatooine, but could very well be Jalath City on Lothal. The Ahsoka logo even includes markings of the Lothal Jedi Temple ceiling, which hints at the re-emergence of the planet in live action. Now some fans say that the logo looks like the world between worlds, but when you compare the temple markings, they're pretty exact. And if we are returning to Lothal, or Lothal as Thrawn would say, who could these new characters be? Maybe they're locals who knew Ezra once upon a time, and maybe they're gonna help Ahsoka and Sabine in their search. Who knows, but that's the tidbit. And so now guys, it's time for some Mandalorian news. Jim Cummings, the iconic voice behind Winnie the Pooh, Fuzzy Lumpkins, Dr. Eggman, Hondo Ohnaka, and so many others, says he wants Hondo to make his way into live action, something which fans of the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels have been begging for years. This comes from the Direct, and they say the following: recent Star Wars projects like the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian have drawn from previous projects more than any before it. Characters like Ahsoka, Cad Bane, Bo-Katan, and soon Sabine Wren have made the transition from animation. And so the big question is, could everyone's favourite space pirate do the same? He may have been introduced in the Clone Wars, but he became a sort of mentor figure to Ezra in Rebels, all the while being clumsy and somewhat of a comic relief. But to many Star Wars fans, he is so vital to the story, not only in animation, but fan desires to include him in live action. The character's even become prominent at some rides at both Disneyland and Disney World, not to mention his own spin-off book. So when, if ever, is the jump gonna happen? The Direct interviewed the voice of Hondo, Jim Cummings, at Atlanta's DragonCon last weekend. When he was asked if we're ever going to see Hondo again, either in the near future in the Bad Batch Season 2 or in live action, he said, quote, "Probably, but they haven't talked to me about it. I don't know why, I mean, yeah, I'm there, I'm not going anywhere." Currently, the only way to experience Hondo in live action in the flesh is through an animatronic at Galaxy's Edge. Jim was then asked which character in the Star Wars universe he would most want Hondo to interact with first when he appears in live action, and he said, quote, "It would definitely be Ahsoka. The poor kid misses me. I can't deny her of me." And the great thing about if he appears in the Ahsoka series is the fact that it's been decades since the two of them last interacted in the Clone Wars. Jokingly, the actor then said, "Can you believe they didn't put me in The Mandalorian? Whatever, my girlfriend was in it. That's where I'm pissed." A fan then asked Cummings what it was like to work with Dave Filoni, and he noted the following: "Oh yeah, that's for sure. He's a great guy, and he's a fantastic director too. And by that I mean he kept all my ad-libs. No, but he was great. It was just a lot of fun. And you know, he lets it be organic. He lets us go for pages at a time, and he'd let us go for 4 or 5 pages at a time. So he really got the flow, and I think it shows in the performances. And he's absolutely right here, even though he's talking about voice acting, not live action. It's incredible how Dave Filoni has a sixth sense about things. He just knows when it's right, even if it's been improvised or ad-libbed. He knows what works in the story, while also allowing actors and voice actors to have their personalities shine. And in more ways than one, with Jim Cummings, it certainly adds to the performance and the character of Hondo on the whole. Finally, Jim commented on the accent that Hondo has. He wanted the character to sound like no one else. He wanted audiences to ask, where is this guy from? In his own words, he says, when I first saw Hondo, he just had a certain something about him, and they said they wanted him to have an accent. So I went, okay, well, I'm gonna do an accent where nobody knows where the hell this guy's from, and just off the top of my head, Hondo is 2 accents put together, 2 character voices put together, and I always ask audiences who the voices are, but no one ever gets it right. But he revealed the 2 characters are Charlie Bronson and Yul Brynner. He says, I put them together and out came Hondo Ohnaka. All I can say is Hondo would fit in really well in the Mando-verse, and appearing in Ahsoka specifically would be really fitting, considering the show's being marketed as the live-action sequel to Star Wars Rebels. And so finally, my dear Mandalorians, something a little bit different. Yesterday, I got to see the upcoming creature horror movie Hatching, and I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. Now you might be wondering, what's the relevance and connection to Star Wars? Well, there is one pretty massive connection. Gustav Hogan, who worked on special effects and creature design for Rogue One, the sequel trilogy, and Solo: A Star Wars Story, is also behind the design of the creature in the film. When he was first announced for it, I covered it on my channel, as well as some of his comments on what it was like working on Star Wars, but after having seen the film for myself, and with the added knowledge that he worked on creature design for the Andor series, I've got to say I'm super impressed and very excited for the kinds of aliens we're going to meet in Andor. And I say that because Hatching was a spectacular movie. I'm quite picky when it comes to horror films, and that's mainly because these days there's too much focus on jump scares, scaring the audience superficially instead of plot substance, but Hatching brings something very new to the horror table. It's horrific yet elegant, intense yet well paced, and a tremendous love letter to Pet Sematary and Stephen King. This movie is definitely inspired by the classic. The movie is full of plot twists along the way, as well as major shifts, unexpected ones, in genres. For a movie that starts out as a creature horror, it very quickly transforms into a doppelganger horror, a psychological thriller, and generally speaking, a very fun ride. With under a handful of exceptions, very few horror films create new categories for themselves when it comes to overall tone. But Hatching is one of those films you're gonna have to see for yourself to understand and appreciate it as a piece of art. And going back to Gustav Hogan, we've seen what he can do in the Star Wars universe, but his talent since then has expanded to new heights, and if some of that's going to translate over to the Andor series, then I simply can't wait. I don't want to spoil the film too much, but it deals with some really dark themes, but if you're a fan of this kind of horror, creature horror, then I highly recommend you go out and watch it. And you'll see for yourself what I mean when I praise the creature design for this film. Awesome stuff, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below of everything we spoke about. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and if you want more videos not found here on YouTube, then click the link down there in the description. That will take you over to my Patreon page. But until the next one, my dear friends, may the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.